instead of just giving you a list of cool weapons and armor, I decided to focus this video on giving you a legendary build setup for Naoe and Yasuke, one focusing on afflictions and the other on parrying everything. This setup for both can be done in the early to mid game. It's very easy to do, so let's go. Let me know any cool gear you found in the comments down below. So this Naoe setup is focused on Affliction Build up as well as using Poison and Bleed as those main afflictions. I also quite like a lot of the tool-based gear, especially a certain snake robes that you can get that will create a poison cloud when your corpses are investigated, and as well as the Toolmaster set, we're using some of the perks from that gear as well. So we will start with the Tanto itself. Now, one thing to note about the Yukimitsu legendary Tanto that does poison build up and has the afflicted enemies are vulnerable perk on it. So anytime a target gets poisoned by this Tanto, they become immediately vulnerable, so you can deal more damage. Something to note is that this weapon's amazing, but I actually had a bug during the review period and this just completely disappeared from my inventory. I have no idea where it went. It's just like gone.
This is where I'd put it.
Yukimitsu's revenge.
If I had one.
But I did get it because I have the footage of me using it and getting it, and then one day I just loaded my save and I was like, where did that Tanto go? It's just literally gone. So you should use this Tanto, but if it disappears like it does for me to you can just use any other poison Tanto and put that perk, because once you do find this weapon, you'll be able to put that perk on any of the other Tantos. But essentially, the reason this is great is because of that afflicted enemies are vulnerable. But to get this Tanto, you actually need to get it from a particular tomb, which is found in the Yamashiro region of the map, which is one of the early regions that you'll get to. It's sort of to the west-ish of like the main city area near the Forsaken Pagoda. You'll actually find an entrance to a tomb here where you'll be able to find it. Now, this tomb is a little bit complex. You'll reach a lot of rooms that look the same. Essentially, from these rooms that look the same, the first one you need to go right, then straight ahead, and then left. Eventually, that'll lead you to the legendary chest, and you'll be able to get this Tanto. The next is the Bloodshade Katana. This is a super easy katana you can get very early in the game, but it will sustain you through a lot of the gameplay because it has a perk to Affliction Build up is not lost over time. Something to note about these weapon perks as well is that they're only active for the weapon that you're currently using. So it's a little annoying because it would be nice to have this perk as well as the other perk that we were just talking about on the Tanto, but because they're different types of weapons, they can't actually be the same. But this katana itself is fantastic because of that bleed build up. And in a lot of cases, when you're doing these affliction build ups, that build up will start to tick down over time if you don't continually hit them. This will keep that bleed up just consistent on them so you can fight multiple targets, build up that bleed build up to then pop it to deal the damage, and it does a significant amount of damage, especially in the mastery lines once you have actually leveled up and got that affliction damage bonuses that Naoe can get. This is found in a legendary chest on a boat in the Izumi Setsu region. You can get this very early in the game, as this is like one of the first regions you'll go to. You essentially just need to travel out to this boat. There are enemies on the boat, so just be careful, but you'll find a legendary chest there that you can grab this from. All right, let's talk about the armor itself. Now, the main armor set we're using here is the Mamushi snake robes. These robes come with the dead bodies release a poison cloud when investigated perk. So anytime you take out an enemy and an enemy walks over there and investigates, there will be a poison cloud that will deal significant damage to them. Plus, this armor has the tool poison build up on it as well. So now all of your tools will actually deal poison build up as well. So it's just another way that we can apply this status effect to enemies. This is from the Nagahama Castle in the Imo region. Now, this is a mid-game region, so it will take a little while to get there. But in the meantime, I would actually be using the Toolmaster set because we do want to use that throw a kunai at the closest enemy after investigation perk and actually put that on the snake robes that we were talking about here. Now, this perk is fantastic because essentially just gives you a double assassination as long as there is a target that you can throw a kunai at. It also doesn't actually cost you a kunai. It won't use one that you've got in your inventory, so it just gives you a free kunai. For some reason, this doesn't always seem to trigger, but it does trigger quite often. I don't know if there's like a cooldown timer or something like that. It doesn't really specify. It would be nice if we actually got some UI notifications for like these as to why they don't trigger sometimes. It would be nice. But anyway, the Toolmaster chest you actually get from the Katono Castle in Setsu, one of the very early regions of the game. You just need to clear that castle as you typically would. Now, the helm for the snake robes or just the helm in general, it doesn't really matter too much if you want to like put this early build together. The Toolmaster mask is much easier to get than the other one we were just touching on. So the Toolmaster mask comes from the Amagasaka Castle in Setsu as well. So you can grab this that comes with shurikens no longer break on hard impact. Because we are focusing on tools, it's definitely a good perk as well to have here. But ultimately, like, you can wear whatever helm you like. That's basically all you need for this setup in terms of the weapons. You've also got the Tanto because of the double assassination benefits, as well as the poison damage, then the bleed damage from the katana, as well as the higher damage the katana does. It's just a fantastic setup to get you through those early to mid stages of the game, and you can level all this stuff up at the forge. Let's talk about the samurai and the unblockable parry build that we have for Yasuke. Now, essentially, this setup for Yasuke will allow you to parry literally every single attack that comes, including the unblockable attacks. And on top of that, because of an additional perk that we are getting from another legendary piece of gear, we are also dealing damage to the targets that we are parrying with, and we are pushing back targets that aren't even parried. Like, we're just essentially, like, as long as you can hit those parry timers, you'll just absolutely defeat and shred every single enemy. We'll start with the armor. That's the Protector's armor. Now, this comes with the perk can parry unblockable attacks. So those are those red attacks that we're talking about that you definitely want to be parrying. Something to note about parrying these attacks is that they're often slower than the normal parry attacks because they're sort of designed for you to dodge, right? So it's just like, hey, there's a big red attack coming, and then it goes. And you've got to time your parries to actually parry those attacks. So when you do see that like little red flash is when the attack's actually about to hit you. That's when you need to parry, not when you just see like them light up with their, you know, red arms or whatever the actual effect is. Now, the armor is found in Nijo Palace in the Yamashiro region of the map. Now, the helm is also required for this build, the Protector's Helm. This will deal 50% damage to an attacker on parry. Now, that damage is the main reason that you want this helm. Now, you can definitely change out like this armor set. I personally don't like the look of this armor set. I'm not a Lakers supporter, so I'm not really here for the purple and gold. But the helmet itself, this comes from the Yamashiro region as well, but actually up in the northeast-ish from Hanazono Castle. I'm probably saying that wrong, but you need to clear out the samurais here. There's only a couple of them, and you'll actually get the helmet to combo with this piece. Now, this isn't all that we want to do. There is another piece of armor called the Defense Master that you actually want to add to this armor set. This Defense Master armor set comes from the Himaji Castle in the Harima region. Now, the reason you want to pick up this armor set as well is because of its perk. So this armor set has a perk to restore 10% of health on next hit after a parry. And because we are parrying basically everything with this build, you're going to get some free health back every time you parry and then counter attack. Now, there is a helm for this piece as well that you can grab if you do want to, but like it doesn't really help this build. It's more like focused on dodging, but you can actually get this from the Miki Castle in this same region if you do want to go and get the helm to, you know, complete the look, but you don't actually need it for this build. The Protector's Helmet's really what we're looking for. So now that you've got all the armor so you can parry every single attack as well as deal damage back to enemies and get health back, let's talk about a weapon. And that weapon is a long katana that successful parries push nearby enemies back. It has solid damage as well as great adrenaline gain, which is fantastic for Yasuke. That's all about using those abilities. This comes from the Yamashiro region as well. You'll actually just find this in a random chest, just like sitting near a like sync point. So you can go and grab this anytime you like. Now, other than this as a sort of a combo setup to allow you to parry all of those attacks and get that set up, you can run a secondary weapon, obviously. For me, I personally prefer to run a bow. So for me, that is the Blush of the Earth, which is found in a tomb. In the Setsu region, there's a tomb that you will need Yasuke in order to access because you need to pick up like the explosive barrels and essentially just like use that to get through the pathways, and you'll be able to get the bow at the end of that tomb. But if you want to run something else, like the Konobo is also a fantastic weapon that deals just a absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. There's actually a really good Konobo that you can get as well in the Yamashiro region up in sort of the northeast-ish as well. There's like a chest just like sitting up here like out in the wilderness that you can grab the Rage of Mist Konobo from, which has 100% of an adrenaline chunk after armor break perk, which is fantastic, and just the Konobo's damage is also amazing. So just another alternative option, and you'll still obviously have all of that parry armor on. You just won't have that additional parry benefit from the katana if you are using this weapon. Another thing I wanted to touch on at the end of this video as well is that you do have access to get a lot of those store weapons and armor basically for free because of the like Animus free battle pass. So I did touch on this on my mistakes video, so I won't go too deep into it here, but go and watch that video if you want more details. But you do have those Animus quests that you can complete, which will then progress you through like the free battle pass plus tiers, this will come with a currency that you can use on the Animus Exchange to get some of those store items for free. Those often have unique perks or just like look really sick anyway. So you can use that on like the daily and the weekly rotation to get armor and weapons from that. Like there's a Poison Konobo in there for me that I'm like considering buying. I probably will grab it off the exchange for the couple thousand points that it does require. But it's just a way that you can get these for free. You can find these keys out in the world as well. You don't get too many when you do find them in the world, but you can. Let me know any cool weapons you have found. Thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.